Today is September 11th, 2002. We live on Broad Street in Bethlehem. And we made our own little tribute to the people who died in the World Trade Center and Pentagon and Pittsburgh.
It's difficult whenever you have an idea of how you want to start a vlog and you just kind of draw a mental blank. Today's September 11th, and so in honor of the events that happened on September 11th, 2001, I kind of wanted to just do a quick vlog and tell you about our story and where we were at and what we experienced on that really horrific day. So on September 11th, 2001, Jackie and I were living in Bethlehem, which is in the Lehigh Valley in Pennsylvania. We were working at a restaurant banquet facility at the time, and Jackie had to go in early at like 6 a.m. to set up for a food service show. A lot of vendors coming in from all over the country to see different products that were being offered in food service facilities. So she was already at work. I got up for work. I didn't have to be at work until 9, so I kind of got up and was getting ready for work. And I saw the news. Of course, I watched the news in the morning a little bit while I was getting ready. Nothing really happening at the time. So I left to go to work, and I figured I would stop at Wawa quick on the way in, which I did. And when I got to Wawa, Jackie called me on our phone and said that the first plane had hit the tower. Immediately, it was kind of like, wow, that's a really, really unfortunate accident. Very sad, but at the same time, it's kind of like, okay, so let's wait and find out what's going on with the story with that. And I just kind of went about my morning, got to work, checked in, started setting up. Jackie actually worked in the banquet facility side of the building, and I worked in the restaurant. I was restaurant manager at the time, so I started opening the restaurant, getting it ready for lunch, and then had the TV on in the lounge, and that's when the second plane hit the second tower. Immediately, it was like, wow, okay, something is happening. So, at the same exact time that happened, many of these vendors, once they got word of what had happened, started to panic, and there was a lot of chaos in the banquet at the time. A lot of different people running many different directions on their phones, trying to see if they can get a cab, a flight, anything to get out of our building to get wherever they need to go, because obviously something was up and people knew it. It was a scary time. It was a very, very scary time. I think for the rest of the day, the restaurant did remain open. We were there. We were kind of just, we obviously weren't very busy that day. Kind of just watching the events unfold on TV. Having a very kind of hollow feeling. Like, what's going on? Why is this happening to us? What can we do? What can we do to help in the situation? After the plane hit the Pentagon and the next plane was reported to go down in western Pennsylvania in Shanksville, Somerset County. That's actually where, kind of near where I grew up in Johnstown, so there was a lot of panic in Johnstown as to what was going on. Apparently that plane was trying to radio signal for help to the Johnstown airport, which is a very, very small airport. I had a friend of mine later, a few years later, saw in a post that she had just went out, stepped out of work for a break, and noticed that that plane was pretty low, hanging above Johnstown. And some other people as well had commented about it was odd that a plane of that size was flying over Johnstown that low. We found out later why. Of course, there was a lot of checking in with our families to make sure everybody was okay. We didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what was going on. We weren't in New York, and we weren't fleeing for our lives, and we weren't running. We watched people running across Brooklyn Bridge and the Verrazano Bridge just to get out of New York, out of the city. We watched from afar, and I think we had, I don't know that we can say we felt the same feeling of terror of fleeing for our lives, but we could definitely understand the people in that position and what they must have been going through. Over the next few days, as the events were unfolding, we were getting more about the story. I saw something in America that I was really proud of, and that was an incredible support for one another and for each other. As an adult, I had never experienced a major tragedy like that on our land. I didn't really know how to process all of that. Still only being 24 years old at the time, it was a lot to handle for somebody, a young person. We heard stories from our families and our grandparents of wars and things that have broken out on our soil, and things that have happened here, and things that we've gone to other lands to assist with and help with. You don't really understand it and don't feel it until it's something that's happening to you. It didn't happen to me directly. It happened to, unfortunately, a lot of families and a lot of individuals had to experience that directly. We watched from afar, and man, our hearts hurt. It was bad. It was bad. But I saw America come together in a way that we hadn't really experienced before. So many people were putting out luminaries on their sidewalks at night. I have some video footage. I'm going to try to put it in because it's on VHS, so it's a little archaic and difficult to see. But I mean, we put out a couple luminaries on our sidewalk, some candles on the porch, and all down the street, everybody had a flag out. It was a really tough time for our country, but at the same time, it really brought people together. So I also have a lot of magazine and newspaper clippings from that time. So I think I'm gonna pull some of those out and flip through and show you what I have, because it's interesting. It's interesting, the headlines that are printed on the paper, and we remember those. And here we are now, 17 years later, still remembering exactly what happened on that day. And still obviously very emotional for us. Now I have kids, and now I have to explain to my kids what happened, and I really still can't fully grasp it myself. They talk about it in school a little bit, the same way when I was in school we talked about World War II, Vietnam, Korea, those kind of things. So it's a part of their history, it's a part of our history, and it's important that we are talking about it, I guess. This is kind of the only way we're actually going to get some healing from it. So with that being said, there's one other thing that I distinctly remember about that time, and there was a song by Enya called Only Time. There was a remix of it that was made kind of more like a pop version for radio, but in that remix somebody went and put pieces of the actual 911 calls, the first responders, that kind of stuff. Actually, the audio from that in the song, powerful. It was very powerful. That song has always stuck with me, and kind of every day, every September 11th now, I make sure I listen to that song at least once. I share it everywhere on social media that I can. It's just a way that I remember. It's a way that I take a few minutes to step back and thank the first responders who really did an amazing job, and some who gave their lives. Yeah. Sorry, I'm like fidgeting and playing with my hands because I just don't even really know what to say about it, because it really is still kind of, I mean, 17 years ago, but it's still fresh. I can't watch the stuff on TV. I can't watch the specials about it without getting emotional and still remembering. And like I said, we see things with our kids, and I try to explain it to them, and I try to explain to them what we experienced, which was more of the feeling of what happened those days, and how people responded and how people came together. And I'm really proud of our country at that time. So with that, I'm going to show you some of those magazines and newspaper clippings now, and just leave you with a message of, for those of us here in the States, it was a really difficult time for us. But that's why we use the phrase "never forget," and we will never forget, and we keep those memories of those events alive by never forgetting. And if anything, I guess we can say we're proud of our country for where we've come since then. People helping people unified. Our country seems crazy and shaky again now because of political things that are going on. But what it all comes down to is that people help people. People are for people. People will always be for people. All right, so these are some of the magazines that I saved from during that time. Time Magazine, Newsweek. This is the special release, I guess. Here's some more of the newspaper clippings then, or newspapers from that day. This was September 20th, 2001. Friday, September 21st. September 13th. This is the stuff, right? So, thank you for watching. Just felt like I needed to say something about that. This is the first year that I've been an active vlogger since September 11th has rolled around, and it's always been something that's kind of been really important to me, so I felt like I wanted to make a vlog about it. Please leave your comments below. Let's get the conversation going. There's a lot of people still going through a lot of hurt and pain and anguish because of those events. I hope that you can seek the right help that you need. But even just commenting here and having a good conversation about it, something we can do. Okay? Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Today is September 11th, 2002. We live on Broad Street in Bethlehem. And we made our own little tribute to the people who died in the World Trade Center and Pentagon and World Trade Center. The drove in there is on the right, and the right, there's cars in the window. It's pretty. It's peaceful. It's solemn. We thank God that we're all still living when we watch others. What? Is it? I'm just with that car to sounds good the same way. I'm taping.
Should I move it up?
Do you want me to? I will. We're gonna move the camera.